Welcome to ZBook's Successful Authors Podcast. And today I have with me the author of a #1 best-selling book on Amazon. It's called Proving Her Claim, and the author is C.K. Van Dam. Hi, C.K. How you doing?
I am fine. How are you doing today, Eric?
Great. We were just talking. It snowed in Germany, but it's melted already. And so it's getting down to 30 degrees, 33 degrees about. How warm is it there?
It's probably under 30 degrees right now, waiting for the snow to come. If it doesn't, I might take the dog out for a walk and try and sneak that in first.
Oh, what kind of dog do you have?
She's a rescue dog.
Oh,
And so we adopted her about 2 years ago. She's a border collie mix.
Border collie. Yeah. Can she catch a frisbee?
I don't know that she really wants to. So but I've seen her herd cattle, and I didn't know she could do that. So she's probably got a whole bunch of talents I don't know about yet.
That's pretty awesome. Have you seen that video from above? It's probably a drone of the border collie somewhere in England herding that. Oh, it's just amazing.
Amazing. Those dogs are so smart. I have watched that, and I've been in awe, frankly.
It's crazy. It looks like a swarm of white birds or something, and the dog is just going around it like crazy. And how do they know what to do? It's
I think that after watching her herd cattle at my in-laws in Wyoming a couple months ago, I think it's instinct and DNA. She had never been around cattle before that I know of. Wow. And she took off after them and started moving them.
Where to?
Off the property, because they shouldn't have been on my in-laws' land. They have open range in Wyoming. And so the neighbors' cows were on their land. And so their dog was herding them off. And my dog named Zinc, Z-I-N-C, started doing the same thing. It was like she just knew what to do. Crazy.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, enough about dogs. Let's talk about your book. What about C.K. Van Dam? That sounds like a kung fu fighter. What was it? Claude.
Yes.
Claude.
No. Yeah. I'm actually a good Norwegian girl and just married into it.
Oh, awesome. And your book is Proving Her Claim. I was reading some of it. I didn't know about this. Well, go ahead and tell us about the women homesteaders. That was so interesting.
Thank you. That was what started the spark for the book. Started with a statistic, and I read this statistic a long time ago. It was based on the Homestead Act of 1862 that Congress passed and Abraham Lincoln signed into law in 1862 during the Civil War. To allow people to claim a section of land, 160 acres, for free. I think there was a $10 filing fee, but basically you got the land for free if you stayed on it for 5 years. There were some requirements. You had to live on the land for 5 years. You had to build a dwelling to live in, and you had to improve the land with farming or ranching or some other way to improve the land. And then the land was yours for free. It was no pun intended, but landmark legislation in the United States at that time, because women could not own property. And Congress, after 20 years of debate, finally decided to include women in this legislation so that if they were head of household, meaning they were spinsters, unmarried, widowed, or divorced women, they could claim 160 acres. And men would be head of household, whether they were married or not, and they could claim 160 acres. The only thing was you had to be head of household and not gone to war against the United States. So that eliminated Confederate soldiers and at that time Native Americans who were fighting on the land. So anyway, so back to the statistic, I go down those historical rabbit holes. The statistic was that 12% of homesteaders during the Homestead Act, 12% of homesteaders were women. unmarried women. Like I said, they were spinsters, widowed, or divorced. 12%. However, 42% of women claimed or proved their claims. They were successful in proving their claims over that 5-year period. 37% of men proved their claims. Mm-hmm. So more women than men proved their claims. And I thought that was a very, I thought that was a very interesting statistic at the time. And it made my brain start thinking about what's the story there? Why were they more successful? And it was because they did not have a plan B. This was their opportunity to own property.
Interesting. Yeah. What was that Roman leader who burned all the boats behind him?
Yes.
You know?
Oh, I can't think of that. I should know his name too, and I can't think of it. But yeah, no plan B. This is it. This is your chance to make a life for yourself out on the Dakota Territory plains.
That is so cool. 160 acres. I would love 160 acres for a one-time filing fee.
Section of land out here these days. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. Do you happen to know the price of land out there nowadays?
It's going for between $11,000 and $20,000 an acre.
Okay. So wow. Yeah. So
yeah,
that's a good deal, man.
Yeah.
The good old days.
Yeah.
Okay, they had rotten teeth and no health care, but okay. So Anna, is she your protagonist? She the hero in the book?
She is. She's the heroine in the book. She was a spinster. She was raised on a dairy farm in Wisconsin. And when her fiance died in the Civil War, didn't come back from fighting, there were so many women who were not going to get married, and she thought, what are my options? And one of her options was to claim a tract of land out in Dakota Territory. And she had a plan. My heroine had a plan. She was a farm girl, like I said, from Wisconsin, a dairy farm. Her father promised that he would send her, and he did, 3 dairy cows and calves. And her Aunt Christina taught her how to make cheese, and that was going to be that's what she did in the book. She made cheese at her dairy. And her mother, who was a Norwegian immigrant, yeah, it gets kind of deep here, but her mother, who was a Norwegian immigrant, approved and supported her daughter's dream to go west, and gave her dowry money to help pay for the land and get started.
Cool. Is it a romance? Because I was reading a little bit.
It is. It is a romance. It didn't start out that way, but as I started writing it, it just became that way. And the romance is with a Lakota man whose tribe was nearby, and during this character arc for my heroine, she realizes that this land was not empty, and she's got neighbors, and she learns how to get along with her Lakota neighbors as well as the other homesteaders, and there's a romance there. It's kind of like 1883, which was a TV show that's been very popular here. And when I saw the ratings, my marketing mind went crazy, and I thought, my gosh, there is an audience for that storyline, that story arc.
Interesting. Yeah, that's some. I want to get back to that, but before I want to stick with the book a little bit. Tell us about the character arc and what went wrong in the book and in her story.
Well, so it was so she makes her way out to Dakota Territory and claims her land, and during that time she gets to know the people there. gets to become part of that community. The community helps do a barn raising for her, which was a very common occurrence out on the plains. And she has some struggles, some challenges. Obviously, being in love with a Native American man was something that was a challenge for her and for him. He was also the son of a Scots fur trapper and a Lakota woman. So he already knew about the discrimination that happens in a mixed marriage or with that type of romance. And so he really didn't want to have anything to do with her, but he was drawn to her and he couldn't help it. But anyway, so that was part of it. Another part of it was when I had the book edited, my editor said, you don't have enough challenges in the book. There's not enough, she doesn't have enough obstacles to overcome. So I added some additional challenges for her, including a missionary who wants to bring Christianity to the Native Americans, and in the process makes them all sick. And that happened a lot out here. And some of it was an accident and some of it was on purpose. So that was one of her challenges that she had to help with. And then there were some other, she gets kidnapped towards the end of the book, and I don't want to give it away. Of course, she gets rescued, but I don't want to, but that's another one of the challenges, and that happened in the book as well. So there's a character arc where she really doesn't know what the heck she's doing out there, other than she wants to be successful and have her own land and have her dairy. And during that process, she meets her neighbors and becomes involved in this new community of people.
Sounds like you did a lot of research. I was reading the book, and there's a letter that Anna writes back to her family, and it sounds like, wow, was this a true story? Did you find a letter like that?
No, I made those up at the end of every story. At the end of every chapter, there was a letter back home, or there was a letter that she read from home to her. And that was when I was, you're right, I did a lot of research, and letters home were a lifeline for the homesteaders. And I wanted those letters to give more insight into who she was and her struggles and kind of her thought process, that it became a device to get to know my characters a little bit better.
Yeah, it worked well. I actually liked it. Like I said, I thought, wow, that sounds like a real letter. Did she just make that up? It was good touch.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, okay. So you had a pretty successful launch. You were #1 in several categories. That was really cool.
Thank
And
you.
so before we geek out on the marketing and stuff, how long did it take you to write the book?
Oh, I'm so embarrassed to tell you this. I wrote it about 20 years ago.
Oh, okay.
And then after I'd written the book, pretty much done, I was a coworker, and I launched an advertising agency. And so for 20 years, I ran the advertising agency, and that was kind of all consuming. Running a business is very time consuming. And I kind of put that book on a back burner. And then when I got close to retirement, I thought, I could publish that book. So I went back to it and polished it up and hired an editor to go through it, and hired a proofreader to go through it, and then launched it this October.
That's pretty
just
cool.
a couple months ago. Yeah.
And did you rely on Facebook ads, or was it a mix?
Well, it has been a mix. I'm finding that my Facebook advertising is being very successful, but I've been doing, I do a mix. I have a website and I blog at least once a week on something. The blogs are a mix of, historical things that I came across during research, or the publishing process, the path that what I learned while I was trying to publish the book, how the book cover came to be, that kind of thing. So I blog a lot. And then I also do book signings, and I contact people to see if I can get my book into their store or their museum. And so I do book signings. I've got one coming up this Saturday, and then I've got one at one of my favorite breweries coming up soon. And I said,
which one's
come
that?
in and, pardon me?
Which brewery is that?
Oh, it's a little microbrewery in Sioux Falls, South Dakota called Wood Grain Brewing. And
you're making me thirsty here.
Oh, they have the best beers. So anyway, but I said, even if you don't buy a book, come in and have a beer with me. So we'll see what happens there. But so I do a lot of
great angle.
one-on-one marketing, and enter contests, so that I can say won this award, that kind of thing. And then I do like some promotions, some limited promotions on websites like Fussy Librarian and things like that.
So, but the only paid advertising was Facebook ads?
Well, my Fussy Librarian was a paid promotion. So, but most of it is on Facebook, and that's I'm finding that that's being successful. I also started my Facebook channels before the book launched so that I could start building audiences on those pages.
Okay, so you have a Facebook page for your book too.
I do.
Interesting. And what did you say a minute ago? How did you know there was a market for this book?
That's my marketing brain kicking in. And I had read that 1883 and Yellowstone, which are both produced by the same production company, and the same Taylor Sheridan is the man who is behind those brilliant programs. And I really mean that. The 1883 and Yellowstone are like the #1 programs on streaming services right now, on television. They're television programs, and they just knocked it out of the park. Great character development, good storylines, and they just draw people back again and again.
Interesting. Yeah, if you could time your book to a movie, that's supposed to work really well. There's a guy that does this with open source stories,
Oh.
Yeah. Oh man, I forgot his name now. He's on the Side Hustle, my favorite podcast with Nick Loper, and he talks about how he gets open domain books, makes them, and then looks if there's a movie coinciding with them. And anyways, that's but so you've been leading a marketing agency and or an advertising agency for several years, and now you just decided to put your skills to use with the book. It's just, maybe you should have done that sooner.
Oh, heck no. No, I had too much fun doing it. And I still, I still, even though I'm retired, I still have a couple clients who said, you can't retire. You have to keep doing my stuff. So I do. I mean, and it's about the people that I work with. I love my clients. And so it was hard to walk away, but it was time. It was time to do something different, and just, I'm old enough that I really needed to retire and do something new chapter.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah. But I love the Pareto principle, the 80-20. So you mentioned a bunch of things you did, but what were the most effective of all of those things you did to market your book? You had signings, you had Facebook ads, you had the beer angle, you had a library thing, and then you had that promotion, and you had several other things. What was the most effective, you think, for the 80-20?
I would say that my Facebook campaigns are doing probably the best, but word of mouth is really important for books, as you well know. And so I need to be out there. I've done speaking events at museums, history museums, history groups. So I've done all of those things and will continue to do them. I did another podcast a few weeks ago. And so it's, you have to mix it up. And I've always told my clients it's a mix. You can't just rely on one channel to be successful. There has to be several legs on that stool in order to make it work.
Interesting. Yeah. What about email? Do you have an email list?
I don't. That's the one thing, and I need to get it done. I
Oh
know.
my
Don't
God, that's
tell
a
anyone.
cardinal sin.
I know it is, and I feel really bad about it, but I'm just struggling on how in the world do I do that? So maybe, hopefully, people that are listening to this will seek me out and look at my website, and there's a sign up on my website. So ckvandam.com is the website, and there is a newsletter sign up, and if they sign up, they'll get my blog posts and they'll get first dibs on promotions that I do and things like that. So I know my New Year's resolution, build that email list.
Do you have an offer in your book?
I don't have an offer in it right now, but I have run offers on it before where if they go to Amazon, they can get the ebook for either free or for very little money. And I've run those promotions.
Okay, so for everyone that they don't know what to put in their book, but you have to have an email link in a sign up, some kind of lead magnet in your book. So for example, you're going to do another book, the second book in the series?
I am writing a second book. It's not the same characters, but it's about a woman on the Dakota Prairies.
So no matter what you're doing, or any author who's listening, if you don't have anything to offer, you still have to put an email sign up in your book, in the front or the back, or both, depending on what you want to do. Some people just swear by the back of the book because they want the person or the people that actually read your book. But you can always put a wait list. So you put want to get the next book for cheaper, then join my wait list. So you have absolutely nothing yet except a form, and you have to do that. Anybody listening right now, there's no excuse to not have an email sign up form in your book. It's called wait list. That's for when you don't have anything. You don't even have the cover. So if I were you, I would go edit my book tonight and re-upload it to Amazon, because you got that big bump from the launch and you're missing all of that traffic now that could be going to your sign up form. So new authors usually recommend to put the sign up form once in the front and once in the back. Join my wait list, get the next book cheaper, whatever it's going to be, or number 2 in the series. But some hardcore marketers say, no, I don't want all the freebie seekers, so they have to read my book, and the form is at the end of the book. That's up to you. You're going to get more signups if you put the form in the front of the book. That's a fact.
Okay. All right.
But you got to do it.
I will take your advice.
Okay, yeah, it's mandatory. It's every writer can do it too. It's just called a wait list. You don't even have to have a cover for the book, but you got to get that email list going. Yeah.
I know. That's the one area that I have been failing in.
Well, it sounds like you've been doing the others pretty well. And how many? You did 20 years of an advertising agency, so.
Yep.
Man,
I believe in email marketing. Don't get me wrong. I believe in email marketing.
Yeah. No. Okay. So who's your favorite author?
Oh, I would say that William Kent Kruger is my favorite author. Are you familiar with him?
Not at all.
He's a Minnesota author, and he's written a series of books about a detective or a sheriff. He's not a detective in northern Minnesota, and right on the Iron Range. And so the character development he's written about 20 books now in this series, and the character development is just amazing. I love all the characters that he writes about. You really care about them. You really care about them. And I love his books. And he's written a couple of freestanding books, This Tender Land and Saving Grace, I think maybe was another one. Those are amazing books too. But William Kent Kruger, I would say, bar none, is my favorite. Although I do like John Sanford. He's also a Minnesota writer. I like his books.
Which book would you recommend from them?
Oh boy.
Do you have a favorite book?
I do have favorite books, and they're not from either of those authors.
Oh, okay.
My favorite book is A Wrinkle in Time.
Oh, yeah.
By Madeline D'Ingle.
Mm-hmm.
And I read that as a young girl, and I've read it since as an adult, and it has so many layers to it that, also strong woman in it, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that's it. But
Mm-hmm.
I loved that book the first time I read it, and I've read it several times, and I love that book.
I'm gonna have to read it. I've got it on my shelf over there.
Oh my gosh. It's not a children's book. It's got so many layers to it, and it's so appropriate in today's world that I love that book.
Okay, cool. So, do you have a morning routine?
Coffee, lots of coffee. And now that I am retired, I kind of take my time getting into my whatever I've got to do. I make a lot of lists. That is one of the things that keeps me productive. And I have I don't know what they call these, moleskin books or something, that I'm every day I have here's what I'm going to get done today. And so that helps me as well.
Okay, cool. Yeah, coffee is like the universal one.
Oh, yeah.
What's your favorite coffee?
Well, I like black coffee with some creamer in it. Yeah.
Oh, wow. I thought you were going to smash me with some
no.
Starbucks 90-word title, for a coffee.
Oh, no. No, I make my own coffee and I add my own creamer.
Last time I was in Starbucks, I think there was an Oprah Spice chai latte double something. Anyway.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So this is quickly becoming my favorite question. If you could have dinner with anybody in the world, past, present, or future, who would it be?
Any one person, it would probably be my mother.
Mm-hmm.
She passed away before either of my two sons, who are now married and have children, before either of them were married. And I would love to talk to her about her granddaughters that are married into the family, because she did not have any, she only had girls. I only had sisters. And so boys were a whole new thing for her. And I had two boys. So she watched them grow up, but she didn't get to see them become adults. And I would love to talk to her about her great-grandchildren.
Yeah, that'd be great, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So next question. What's in your pockets right now?
Oh, this is so horrible. Oh, a Kleenex.
Not a gun? You're out there on the prairie, on the range. Winchester.
No. Nope. It's winter, so I have a Kleenex with me at all times, but that's it.
No dog treats? Okay.
She already got her treat today, so she's good.
Okay. So what would you do differently if you had to do it all over again?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know if there's any, every decision that you make has a cascading effect on what happens in your life. And I don't know what I would do differently. I like where I am, and I've got a great family, a great group of friends, and I feel like I've got a new chapter in front of me, which is kind of exciting. And so I don't know that there's anything I'd do differently.
I know you could put an email sign up in your book.
Yeah, I would do that.
Okay, gotcha. Okay. All right. So what's on the horizon for you?
Well, like I said, I'm writing the second book in this. If it's a series, it's a different character. And I was dumbfounded when I had my beta readers before on my first book on Proving Her Claim. A couple of my beta readers said, there's going to be a sequel, right? And I, what?
Yeah.
So there may be a sequel, I need, it has to all mush around in my brain for a while. But right now I'm writing another book about a woman who claims land on the Dakota territory, and different, more struggles. And I'm taking my editor's advice, and there will be more challenges in front of her. But so I'm writing that, and I'm really liking this woman. I'm fast becoming a close friend. And so I'm doing that. I wrote a children's book that has not been illustrated yet, and I have a illustrator in mind for that. And then and it's about dogs, of course. So I want that one to come out at some point in the future. I don't know. That's it right now.
That's enough, huh? That's pretty
Yeah.
good. Two or three books. Before I forgot, the easiest way to build an email list is voraciousreadersonly.com with my buddy Larry Fronsek. I interviewed him too on my blog. Matter of fact, twice. So if you go to my blog, zbooks.co, and you look up Larry, and Voracious Readers Only is really cool because it's really qualified emails from readers, voracious readers that want books.
Okay.
And I don't know if you have to make your book free, but you sign up and they get you emails for almost just as cheap. Actually, I think cheaper than Facebook lead ads. So I don't know how much a lead costs in your genre right now, but the thing is that they're very qualified. So because this is also readers, and with Facebook, sometimes you get the freebie seekers and stuff. So, but I think it's better than Facebook lead ads. Actually,
I wrote it in my book. I'll be working on that tomorrow.
Yeah, that's probably the easiest way to build an email list ever. And okay, all right. So you got some new books, and where can we reach you online?
I have a website. It is ckvandam.com. CK, V as in Victor, A as in Nancy, A as in Apple, N as in Nancy, D as in dog, A as in Apple, M as in Mary. ckvandam.com.
Cool.
And you can find, if you look me up, I'm on Amazon too, and the books are on Amazon.
Yeah, and people can go to your website and sign up for your newsletter.
Yes, there is a sign up on my website.
Excellent, excellent. Okay. CK, it's been awesome talking to you.
Thank you. This has been fun, Eric.
I enjoyed it. And then you have to come back for your next books.
I will.
Okay.
And thank you for all of your advice. I really appreciate that.
No problem. We can geek out another time about that. That would be another hour or so.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks for coming. See you next time.
Thank you so much.